Hey, what is up guys, Donovan here, and today it is a nice day outside, good sunny, good lighting, and I thought, you know what, it would be a good day to go over whether or not the shorty headers that I got for this thing are actually worth the money, and yeah, so let's get into it. So if you guys are new to the channel, I basically have JBA Shorty Headers with a Borla exhaust with the cat still on it, so I'll go ahead and put a sound clip right here. And if you look in closely, you could kind of see they're the only shiny thing in this engine bay, that they are the silver ceramic coated, and the reason that I went for those was because of heat, and basically the ceramic coating will help prevent heat cracking and stuff like that in the future. Now I went ahead and kept the stock manifolds just in case I had any issues with the shorty headers, which I have not, but who knows when it comes to emissions what they're gonna do with me, because I'm in California and it's a pain here. Luckily the shorty headers are carb certified though, but if you take a look at these things look beat. They were only in the car for 10,000 miles and they're already rusty looking, and I mean if you just take a look at that design, it doesn't really look like it's built to flow well. So I'll go ahead and put up a photo of the JBA shorty headers, that way you can get an idea on how different they are designed. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it is a serious pain to get these things installed, so when you do install them, make sure you have a decent amount of time on your hands and all the correct tools, because there is a bolt by the passenger side dipstick, around where the oil dipstick is, and it is a serious pain to get to. And actually, I haven't had time to completely fix it yet. I have an exhaust leak that's actually stuck around for quite a bit of time, so I have to get that all torqued down, and when I do end up camming this, I'll be able to get to it much easier because a lot of the parts are going to be out of the car. But let's get into the performance aspect. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I first installed this thing, without the tune, I didn't really feel a difference at all. The only real difference that I felt in the car, which is actually an important one, was that the car seemed to actually drone less with my exhaust. It got quieter in the cabin, which I actually prefer because, you know, drone is ugly. But seriously, you don't really feel the effects of shorty headers unless you get tuned for them, and that's honestly the case with every car mod, but especially when you get into things like headers and such. So as you guys have probably heard as well, shorty headers are better for low-end torque as opposed to long tube headers, which give you much larger gains at the higher end of the RPM spectrum. Now the reason I went for short tube headers was, first of all, in California it is really hard to get your hands on long tube headers, especially because of all of our emissions requirements and because none of them are actually carb certified, because you pretty much have to delete the catalytic converters. And short tube headers were just much easier. I didn't have to remove any O2 sensors or anything like that. And I benefit more from short tube headers because I don't necessarily go to the drag strip. I just like to gun it from a red light here and there. So I just felt that shorty headers were better for me. Now, as I said before, I didn't really feel many gains before I actually got the tune for the car. But once I got the tune, it was a massive difference. Now when I downshift using the paddle shifters up to like 3,000 RPMs when I'm doing 25 miles an hour, this car breaks loose no problem. Like, it'll spin down the street no problem. There was a serious gain from, I don't know if it was just the tune or if it was the shorty headers or what, but the car drives completely different than it did stock. I'm getting pretty much 4.7 to 4.75 0 to 60s now with this car, which is a pretty big improvement from stock, which was 5.1, 5.2, especially with moderate bolt-ons like headers and a cold air intake. So I think that if you have the chance, yes, do long tubes, but if you don't really want to mess with emissions, and if you want to save a little bit of money, you can go short tubes and have a lot of fun, and you're seriously going to cut a good amount of time off of your 0 to 60s in these cars and make it a much better contender to other cars than it is from the factory. So if I was to recommend any headers, I would seriously recommend going with the JBA headers, because they have been perfect. I've had no issues with them whatsoever. They look sweet. They actually helped get rid of the drone that I had in here, and you know, they clearly bumped up my performance a little bit. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. The Shorty Headers were one of my favorite mods that I've done to this car, and I've seen probably the most gains and the best sound increase from the headers and the tune. So if you're gonna do anything to your RT, I seriously recommend doing headers and a tune. It is gonna be completely different than it was from the factory, even over a cold air intake and that. I'd recommend just using the money that you're gonna spend on a cold air intake and put it into headers, because you're gonna see a much better gain from those than you are from an intake filter. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Remember to click that like button if you enjoyed the video, click that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.